going on? What's going on? Everybody, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up as you come into the building. Make it do what it do. Bully that thumbs up button. Hit that like button. Put your ex's face on it, baby. And just punch that like button, honey. Okay, you guys know liking the video is one of the most significant things you can do here. One of the most profitable things you can do here on the platform is to hit that like button. It is free 99. It don't cost you nothing. And if you got enough finger strength to type, if you got enough finger strength to share, if you got enough finger strength to scroll, if you got enough finger strength to click the video, you damn sure have enough finger strength to press the like button. And because we ain't got no weirdos over here, we ain't got no strange folk over here. We ain't got nothing but supporters and Consciouztv family members over here, baby. Them likes should never be lacking, baby. The thumbs up should always be reflecting the love and the support and the unity that it takes to make this all here happen. So please, please, please share the stream out. You know, this is one of those very important conversations, like when we talk about politics, we talk about sociology, we talk about raising children, we talk about self-development. Of course, sexual health is a very, very important conversation. And even though it's 2024, baby, people still out here wilding the hell out. Those STIs and STD rates are still skyrocketing. The center of Atlanta still reflects the HIV rates of that of a third world country. So there's still a lot of work to do. There is still a lot of awareness to bring, a lot of stigma to remove as it relates to STIs, STDs, and HIV, etc., honey. And we got to keep having the conversation, especially when there is an opportunity to do that. And today presents that opportunity. So please share the stream out to your social medias. Okay, wherever it is you have social media, whether that be your YouTube, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Tumblr, your Snapchat, your Instagram, your YouTube community wall, your MySpace. I really don't give a damn where you lay the link, honey. All right. Once again, as you come in, please thumbs up, 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 up. Whether you are a Bush baby, whether you are a active listener and participator in this chat with me in real time, or rather, you are part of the Replay Gang. Your thumbs up certainly does matter. Shout out to all the new subbies. Okay, we are on our way to 51K. So proud, baby. That 50K just looks so goddamn good on us. And soon 100K is going to look even better. All right. And once again, please share the stream out. And with no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Before I even get to greeting everybody, let me go ahead and greet my old nasty piece of baby fathers and baby mothers, okay? My boo, Miss Hatcher, my boo, SMB, and my boo, Deshaun and Kathy. Shout out to you guys for the old nasty piece of child support checks. You guys know how you can support the platform aside from sharing, aside from thumbing up, aside from subscribing, which is also to donate to the cane to keep the lights on around her. All right, you can donate at $Consciouztv or Cash App, spelled just how it is here on the platform, and or you could send your child support payment to paypal.me/Consciouztv. All donation handles are in the description box, as well as scrolling right here at the bottom of the screen. And my beautiful moderators always share out all the information that you guys need. All right. Once again, as you guys come in, please go ahead and thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Now, let me go ahead and greet the Conscious crew as you guys are piling into the sanctuary. There's a lot going on in the world. What's going on, Queen of Topics? What's going on, Queen B More? There's a lot of queens in the building, child. What's going on, T Trisha? What's going on, Pac-Man? What's going on, Sherry? Hey, Janie. What's going on, Sandy? Hey, Erica. Hey, Miss Dawkins. What's going on, Cynthia? Hey, Auntie Trisha. Hey, Boo. What's going on, Sherry? Hey, Latera. What's going on, Erica? Hey, Serenity. What's going on, Betty? Hey, JH. Hey, y'all. So I just wanted to come through on the real quick, and get into the thing, Shy, because it's a lot going on. Now, y'all know we always got to keep that same energy over here. We roast the gays, we roast the trans, we roast the black men, we roast the whites, we roast the women's, we roast every damn body. We got to keep that same energy, baby, okay? And today, there is a black-ass woman who wants y'all to hear what it is she have to say. And ironically, baby, you know, to all the black men who, you know, have internalized, you know, self-hate and anti-black mentality and anti-black attraction, and, you know, who love them old nasty piece of mulatto, honey. Love them an old nasty piece of biracial, honey. Okay, love them some light-skinnedness, baby. Anything that is either white or adjacent to whiteness, baby. Black men, y'all type. You know, got something to say today. So let's go ahead and roll over to Miss It's On Site, all right, and listen to what this woman had to say about how she feels as it relates to her HIV and to disclose or not to disclose. All right, let me go ahead and share my old nasty piece of screen, child. Oh, yeah, we be cooking, Cher. We cook, child. We cook, baby. We be cooking over her. All right, you guys, take a look and listen to this.
Positive, right? And this is just a PSA to those that are not HIV positive. Disclosure is my choice. When I disclose and how I disclose and who I disclose to is up to me. I find it so crazy how people are telling me that I need to disclose before I go on a date, that I need to disclose before I kiss somebody. This is the craziest one. Before I even tell them my name. It's not happening. I don't think that it's my responsibility to tell someone that I'm HIV positive if they are treating me as if I'm not. Your health is your responsibility. Adopt the mindset of medical practitioners. Assume that everyone has something until they prove to you that they do not. Why are you kissing a stranger or trying to kiss a stranger that you just met? Why are you trying to have intercourse with someone raw that you just met? You don't know me from a hole in a wall. Why are you trying to put your thing inside of me without any kind of protection? Why do I have to be the one to say, hey, chill out, I'm HIV positive, instead of you asking, taking the time to know me, get to know me. Let's go get tested together if you want to take the next step. Why do I have to be the one protecting you from yourself? No, baby, that is not my responsibility. And I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, love you, bye.
Girl, and the comments are in shambles, baby. Honestly, I don't even really know what there is to honestly disagree with. I don't know why the comments are in shambles, because I agree with every single syllable and word uttered out of this woman's mouth, okay? And before we go any further, let's be perfectly clear about what this woman is saying. What she is not saying, and it would be a gross mischaracterization to say otherwise, what she's not saying is that she goes around intentionally transmitting the HIV she's living alongside. What she is, however, saying is that under the circumstances of a date, of a kiss, of your sexual and or romantic interest in her, that she is not obligated to disclose her status to you. Okay? That because you are so deathly afraid and grossly uninformed about the way HIV actually is transmitted, she is not obligated to cater to your erroneous mythological urban legend fears. She's not obligated to tell you she's HIV just because you want to partake in a kiss with her, because HIV is not transmitted through kissing to begin with. There's not even enough HIV enzymes in saliva to transfer it through saliva, which is why you can, and once again, I said saliva, not blood, saliva, which is why you can eat after someone who is HIV positive. You can drink from a cup of someone who's HIV positive. You can suck from a straw of somebody who's HIV positive. You can drink from the same water fountain as someone who's HIV positive. You could tongue kiss, French kiss all down to the ground, have your tongues in the back of each other's throats of someone who's HIV positive and is not transmittable. It would take supernatural tons and gallons of saliva for you to be even remotely what they would consider to be exposed to HIV. Okay, she is not obligated. If she's sitting at the bar minding her business and you decide to come up to her and buy her a drink and commits to making a pass at her, she's not obligated to, once again, disclose her status. All right, now to be more clear, let's take one more listen, one more swing through of what this woman had to say, okay? Because what she's not saying is she goes around intentionally taking advantage of people and looking to intentionally infect anyone. That's what she's not saying. So let's listen again. Okay, let's have our listening caps on, y'all. Okay, I'm drinking this damn brisk, all right?
Positive, right? And this is just a PSA to those that are not HIV positive. Disclosure is my choice. When I disclose and how I disclose and who I disclose to is up to me. I find it so crazy how people are telling me that I need to disclose before I go on a date, that I need to disclose before I kiss somebody. This is the craziest one. Before I even tell them my name. It's not happening. I don't think that it's my responsibility to tell someone that I'm HIV positive if they are treating me as if I'm not. Your health is your responsibility. Adopt the mindset of medical practitioners. Assume that everyone...
Okay, so y'all heard what she just said. She didn't say she doesn't disclose her HIV status. She said, I don't disclose under these normal human interactive circumstances, like simply talking to someone, simply dating someone, simply being on a date with someone, that I am not going to and in no way obligated to. That's what she is saying. She never even said she don't disclose when it comes to sex, because this woman seems to be pretty articulate and she's more than likely very well informed. Okay, so I'm sure she more than likely lives in one of the 34 states that criminalizes HIV as it relates to not disclosing. States like Georgia, I think states like Colorado, etc., have disclosure laws, and a person who is living with HIV and or AIDS can be legally and criminally penalized for not disclosing their sexual health. However, once again, that's not what this woman is saying. She ain't even getting to all that. She is simply saying, I'm not obligated to do so just to tell you my name, or before I tell you my name, or before we get to know each other. I'm not what she's basically saying is she's not obligated to tell anyone her HIV status who she hasn't even decided she's going to be sexually intimate with. And she's absolutely within her right to do so, because even the disclosure laws do not force or mandate someone with HIV to disclose under those circumstances either. Only under the circumstance of sexual intimacy. Sexual intimacy, okay? A HIV positive person don't got to disclose nothing to you while y'all dating, while y'all are courting, while y'all are canoodling, while y'all are cuddling, while y'all are kissing, while y'all are trading genitalia pics and all other type of shit, okay? They're just not obligated to do so. Now, this opens up a bigger conversation as well, because we had the same conversation, I believe, earlier this year, when it was earlier this year or it was last year, when Wendy Wiggins had edited up a video of another content creator named Justin J, who goes by King of Reeds on YouTube, who decided to disclose his status a few years ago. He was very public about it. He's also made like HIV awareness content on his channel as it relates to his status, now that this is his experience, and he's been using his platform accordingly to talk about HIV, to even talk about disclosure. He has all type of content over on his platform up about that. And the way that the conversation was edited was, it created a firestorm, because even the clips that were used, they were used like largely out of context. And I had did a review of that video and decided to, also talk about it, because as I said, this is a very important conversation. Sexual health, health in general, health is wealth, all those things, dietary health conversations, mental health conversations, health in its entirety is always something that we need to be speaking about openly as a community, etc. In that live stream. And I'm going to double down and say it again here today, and I don't give a damn who like it and who don't. What this woman said, what Justin J. Kingeries has said, is simply true. Even with the law, some laws, some states having HIV disclosure legislation in place, is that your sexual health is yours. When I read the comment section, I really wasn't surprised, because it actually explained why unintentional pregnancies happen, unwanted pregnancies take place, and certainly why STIs and STDs are really rampant, especially amongst certain particular groups. Unfortunately, girl, when it comes to the Black community, there is a HIV epidemic, and unfortunately, Black women are the leading carriers of that HIV. Not Black men, not the LGBT community, but Black women, okay? Black women account for the largest share of new HIV diagnoses amongst women, as well as the largest share of all women living with HIV. The rate of new diagnoses amongst Black women is 10 times the rate amongst white women and 3 times the rate amongst Latinos. All right? So these HIV rates amongst the heterosexual community, because there also is an epidemic in and of itself within the LGBT community as well, is the reality that there's not a lot of responsible sextivities taking place, largely. It doesn't even matter if men are on the DL or if women are hyper promiscuous and popping pussy everywhere. It's really all irrelevant, because the reality is you could still avoid largely transmission through having responsible sexual practices put into place, which means that you can still protect yourself from STIs and STDs, even if the person you are laying down with is highly promiscuous. You could still largely protect yourself from transmission or from infection from even a man who's on the down low, if you have heightened responsible sexual practices. Okay, the issue is not even the promiscuity, and the issue, contrary to popular belief, is not even DL men, it's not whores being whores, it's not sluts, it's not all of this shit. It's the irresponsibility of sexual engagement upon and for each person. Lots of people are promiscuous and STI, STD free. Lots of people are dilly-dabbling between lots of communities and are STI, STD free. What will spare you from becoming a statistic is tightening up on those safety measures as it relates to your sexual and sensual conduct. When I read the comment sections every time conversations like this come up, what I hear screaming through the hallways of social media is largely a bunch of lazy ass, irresponsible people who largely feel that somebody else should be responsible for their sexual health, baby. And let me tell you, you're going to be one sorry motherfucker with a crunchy dick or a crunchy ass pussy thinking that another motherfucker owes you anything. Because even if that same motherfucker lives in a state or city where they can be penalized for transmitting something to you that can't be healed but only treated, the damage is already done. So there's really no redeeming quality even in the criminalization of HIV and or herpes, when now you've got to live with it no matter what happens to the person that transmitted it to you. And what I don't understand about people who are over the age of 18, over the age of, it's actually only very illegal in 34 countries. In countries, 34 states. Please largely educate yourself, okay? This is not a federal law. It's not federal legislated. It is legislated per state, and only 34 states have adopted disclosure legislation, and those legislations are actually on their way to actually being undone because they're being challenged by HIV organizations and HIV and AIDS activists who are working vehemently to decriminalize HIV, considering the advancements that have been made in modern times as it relates to HIV/AIDS treatment. So you are also about to witness the little legislation that is in place in some states actually coming down and or all out being reformed. Okay, so you also best to hope that your ass is not thinking that somebody owes you something, and then you happen to live in a state that does not criminalize HIV, because not only is there going to be no justice for you, but you now are going to have to also live with said STD and STI. But once again, it really doesn't even matter if it's legislated or not, because the reality is, as I said, the damage is already done. So it really doesn't matter, because now you are someone who is living with HIV, and then unfortunately living with HIV under the guise that you have been victimized. And the reality is that once you are of legal age and you can consent to sex, and without the exception of being great, you owe yourself, and you should feel you owe it to yourself to protect yourself accordingly when it comes to your sexual health. I really don't understand how so many people are really comfortable believing that it's not their job to use condoms. It's not their jobs to reinforce contraceptions. It's not their jobs to ask questions such as, hey, are you HIV positive? Do you have herpes? Do you have gonorrhea? When was the last time you were tested? I really don't understand people who are quicker to lay down and bust it wide open and bust a nut with somebody unprotected without even seeing any paperwork. That's really wild to me, that this is how so-called informed adults actually fucking behave. I would never in a trillion years ever think that it's anybody's responsibility to tell me a motherfucking thing, okay? Because paperwork is absolutely required. Every sexual partner I have and have had, I've been tested with, I've seen paperwork with. So I just really don't understand the level of recklessness that has really been largely normalized, particularly amongst our urban communities and amongst our Black and brown community. And you would think with the STD and STI rate and the HIV rate just skyrocketing all over the community, from straights to the gays to the women to the men's, that this would have really fostered this kind of awareness and kind of heighten the reality of like self-preservation and protecting oneself. But still yet, even with not only the epidemic of STIs and STDs, but even with there being things like PrEP that are literally put in place to help you to not become infected if you come into contact sexually with someone who is. You would think that with all these things that are trying to help aid and abet, from all of the available information online to all of the preventative measures one could take, aka the old iconic classic use of condoms, the old aka let's go get tested together, the old aka just literally asking someone, hoping that they'll be transparent in the very least, aka the usage of PrEP, which is not just an LGBT preventive pill, but it's literally one for all people in person. Straight heterosexual folk can also take PrEP as well to help build up their immune system and create a firewall in place of their immune system to help them to combat a infection if by chance they are and do come into contact. You would think with all these things that there would be, you know, that we still wouldn't be in the 21st century in 2024 actually walking around believing that somebody else owes you the goddamn truth about what they carrying, as if you also don't have the full wherewithal, with the exception of being sexually assaulted, that you don't have the full wherewithal, the full bandwidth, the full Megatron to also prevent recklessness and personally endangering your damn selves. And the fact that you know, the comment sections be like filled with 90% of weirdos really thinking that it's just gonna be without injury and without cause to just not strap up, while seeing the infomercials, while seeing the commercials about HIV awareness, while seeing all of the conversation, and still yet are going to walk around knowing that there's a plethora of STIs and STDs, aside from herpes and HIV, that are incurable. You would just think that this conversation would look very, 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 very differently. You would think it would look very differently. You have people who are more mad at the fact that they are being prompted to take responsibility than they are at themselves for not thinking that they should be more responsible. You got more people mad at this woman who is saying, I don't have to disclose that to you before I disclose my name. I don't have to disclose that to you because we're out on a date, and that I don't have to disclose a motherfucking thing to you unless, bitch, I plan on letting you eat this puss box, or I'm letting you clap these motherfucking cheeks. So there are people who are actually mad at that and actually think that this woman and many other carriers of HIV like herself are actually the fucking problem. And my question is, why in the hell should she have to disclose her status to anyone who she is not about to actually lay down and engage in sextivities with. Because ain't none of y'all around here giving up the STIs y'all done had, the STIs y'all treating with penicillin right now, the vaginal ointment, the penis head ointment that you're putting on right now, because last week's activities after the club got a little bit too grand, baby. Okay? And if we gonna push for transparency, bitch, let everybody be mandated to be transparent, baby. Tell a motherfucker your credit score. Tell a motherfucker how many bodies you done had. Tell a motherfucker whether you're in between jobs, ain't got a motherfucking job, bitch. How many mug shots you got, how many times you had to fight a case, beat a case, got indicted on a case. I mean, just let it all hang out. You know, tell a motherfucking man that, you know, you have yet to take responsibility for any of the children that you have bared and got your grandma and your granddaddy or your goddamn parents raising you and that nigga's goddamn children. You know, tell these people, baby, how you done fucked up your children's goddamn credit score because you got the Wi-Fi and the cable and they goddamn name at 2 years old. Okay, tell them about the goddamn food stamp fraud your ass is committing. You know, I mean, I'm all for transparency, baby. If that's what we gonna do, bitch. But let's not be hypocrites. Let's not get carried away here, baby. Let's cut the bullshit with the entitlement of it all, baby. Let's just really can that shit, because for 2024, baby, like I done said, this world ain't gonna get no better, and our communities ain't gonna get no better until we really are ready to 100% commit to doubling down on changing things for ourselves, especially as it relates to being black and brown. We already in a situation where we can see our government don't give a damn. We can see that the powers that be don't give a fuck about the condition of our communities. They put food deserts in our community. They over police and criminalize black and brown people, queer, straight, male and or female. They treat us like dogs. They assassinate us like dogs. So you would think that we would also at this point be very much so convinced and convicted that the things we want to see truly change are going to have to come from all of us putting forth the effort to do just in fact that, to make things better for ourselves, because nobody fucking else is going to fucking do it. Nobody else is going to do it. You know, I was a sophomore in high school when one of my friends, 14 years old, contracted HIV. He contracted HIV from a nigga he met on a phone app at the time that everybody was using to mix and mingle. Had sex in a public park. Next thing you know, he's a 14-year-old living alongside HIV. And it doesn't matter if there would have been laws in place to hold the person that infected him accountable, because the reality that he's now positive doesn't change, even if that motherfucker is behind bars. The damage is already goddamn done. Not only is there not enough conversation happening amongst the black and brown community about sexual health, sexual prevention, which is not happening largely to a bunch of religious ass stigma that most of us were raised up under, where sex as a topic in its entirety was taboo. So most people were not entitled to a proper and informed conversation around being hormonal, about what that energy is, about all the ways in which sexual energy could actually be harnessed outside of actually personifying itself through the act of actual sex. Sexual energy is actually creative energy, and you can use it for creative purposes. You can transmute that energy. Lots of creators do. Lots of very ambitious people do. You know, there are so many nuanced conversations that would be beneficial for our community to really have as it relates to sex, even as it relates to that topic when our young people becoming of age, they're going through puberty. And once again, they can't even have the luxury of having guardians and parents who can have that conversation without first and foremost feeling embarrassed themselves, and or have that conversation because they believe there's no place for that conversation because of their religious convictions and all of this ignorance, all of this lack of communicating is leading to a lot of erroneous attitudes about sex, about the properties and purposes of sex, about sexual health, about sexual protection. You know, one of the scariest things I ever saw, and it truly was like really eye-opening, is I saw a meme about 2 or 3 years ago, and it had two men on the meme, and they were both on the couch at different ends of the couch, and both of them were kind of thinking in their own head because they was about to get it on. And one of the guys in his mind was saying to himself, well, he didn't ask me to use a condom, so I'm assuming he don't have HIV. And then the other guy was thinking in his head, oh, he's not pulling out a condom because he's HIV positive too. Baby. If that didn't really explain and give a clear, realistic ass view into the way people rationalize the lack of use of condoms and contraceptions, and question asking because there's a lot of just assumptions being made. People who ain't positive are assuming that because the other partner not encouraging contraception and not asking no questions, that the other person is also HIV negative. The HIV positive person is, in their mind, thinking because you ain't asking those questions, you ain't encouraging condoms and contraception, that you must be HIV positive too. As you can see here, how not speaking, not being clear, and all parties not asking the questions and taking it upon themselves to be responsible can lead to these type of outcomes. So what y'all want this woman to say other than what she said? Because even the law does not mandate her ass, or anybody else for that matter, with HIV, male or female, gay or straight, trans or biological, to disclose to anybody who they are not about to embark upon a sexual act with. And for everybody who really believes that HIV positive people should disclose, even in non-sexual circumstances, like, you got to really hit your head up against the wall just a few more times, baby. And really, I mean, really, just wake the fuck up. Like, cut it the fuck out. Cut it the fuck out. Cut it out. Absolute absurd irrationality, just offensive logic, offensive entitlement that is only going to cost you and your motherfucking body at that. At that. So she said what the fuck she said, and I'm going to let y'all hear it again, because hearing it is going to really help it sink into the public's head, girl, that the questions you don't ask, the information you don't seek from somebody you plan on being sexually with, is going to leave you to you and your devices, are just answers you just not going to have. Walking around thinking that people who carrying whatever they're carrying have to get in front of the information and have to initiate those conversations and have to initiate disclosure. They do not. The law does not require them to disclose to your black ass or any motherfucking body else's black ass, unless they plan on laying down. And that's only in 37 states, not even in all the states. It's not a federal law. And once again, those laws are looking to be changed and reformed to adapt to current advancements made in HIV prevention and HIV management and HIV medicine. So all of y'all who feeling entitled, baby, y'all about to be in even more damn danger. If y'all don't get it through your thick ass, stubborn, stupid ass head that, bitch, the only person who owes anything to you is you. Yeah. Let's listen again.
Right? And this is just a PSA to those that are not HIV positive. Disclosure is my choice. When I disclose and how I disclose and who I disclose to is up to me. I find it so crazy how people are telling me that I need to disclose before I go on a date, that I need to disclose before I kiss somebody. This is the craziest one. Before I even tell them my name. It's not happening. I don't think that it's my responsibility to tell someone that I'm HIV positive if they are treating me as if I'm not. Your health is your responsibility. Adopt the mindset of medical practitioners. Assume that everyone has something until they prove to you that they do not.
Period.
Why are you kissing a stranger or trying to kiss a stranger that you just met? Why are you trying to have intercourse with someone raw that you just met? You don't know me from a hole in a wall. Why are you trying to put your thing inside of me without any kind of protection?
Becca, that's just nasty. Like, if you wouldn't even go into a cave or even go into the forest or even go into your backyard at night without a flashlight, why in the hell would you want to put your tongue, your finger, your pussy, your penis, your mouth in the abyss of something without inquiring about whether it's even safe to go in? You know, the audacity to use your seatbelt, but to not use your damn common sense and your common, Q&A to anybody you plan on putting your lips and your mouths and your genitalia on. The unmitigated gall of it, the compartmentalization of it all, the selectiveness of it all, the selective self-preservation of it all. Truly bizarre.
Why do I have to be the one to say, hey, chill out, I'm HIV positive, instead of you asking, taking the time to know me, get to know me. Let's go get tested together if you want to take the next step. Why do I have to be the one protecting you from yourself? No, baby, that is not my responsibility. And I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, love you, bye.
I don't know what I'm supposed to disagree with. Because what that woman ain't said is that she doesn't disclose when it comes to actually engaging in sex. What she is saying is that she don't disclose in non-sexual situations. A date is a non-sexual situation. Kissing is a non-sexual situation. Speaking is a non-sexual situation. She ain't obligated to tell you a motherfucking thing, and she ain't. And nobody is. And if you don't care to protect yourself, that's an issue. And that's an issue that you don't get to just fucking project onto the person who gave you the crabs or gave you the gonorrhea or gave you, unless you're in a committed monogamous relationship and somebody broke their vow to you and brought back home a child outside of the relationship, or an STI, an STD, etc. And hell, I know plenty of couples who still practice getting tested together, even though they are monogamous. But if I had to put onus on any person more than somebody else, the onus is on you to protect yourself. These niggas and these women ain't even giving you their real name, baby. When they coming over to be a snaky link, yet alone gonna disclose their sexual health so that what you can go around and spread that information around. So that they can be HIV shamed, and because there is an actual HIV stigma, lots of people who are carrying and carries of herpes, of HIV, and other incurable diseases aren't even comfortable, unfortunately. Which doesn't make it right to knowingly infect someone, but also that stigma contributes to why people are so ashamed that they refuse to disclose and just take their chances, even with the use of condoms, etc. Bobby Light's ass is in a situation right now with Tommy Lee. Is it Tommy? Yeah, with Tommy Lee, unhinged Ricardo B's money, and Kaya ass, because they allegedly are spreading misinformation about his health status, and he's sick of it, and he's ready to apply the gas and apply lawsuits. You know, all that's gonna come up on our celebrity hot topic docket later on. But it's a mess because all the shaming people, even people who don't got it, just using HIV as a read, using herpes as a read, is leading to a implosion in our community, because all it's resulting in is shame. And people who either are carrying these things and too ashamed to articulate it, and or people who are so scared to be labeled as HIV positive or herpes positive that they don't even go and get tested. They'd rather not know. They'd rather not know because they can't even wrap themselves around the potential of being positive and surviving that mentally and emotionally because of the way that people are stigmatized and dragged, and the way that health reads are just superficially weaponized. And people, Foodie, are going to ignore HIPAA laws because HIPAA laws only apply to medical personnel. They don't apply to everyday people. So let's say I know you're positive. If I get out here and say and share with the whole world, share with our 50,000 subscribers that you're positive, I haven't broken a HIPAA law because I'm not medical personnel. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not under that oath. And you can't even sue me because it's also in fact true. You know, it's just something that shouldn't be done because it's literally causing a issue in our community. This is why I had to tug on Unhinged Wig even years ago when she was calling Bobby Light's blood dirty. And I was like, girl, you have a following of mostly black women. Black women are the leading carriers. And you probably got followers and drunk assholes who subscribe to you, who hear the way that you go in and you use HIV reads and health status reads and won't even feel encouraged to go get tested, which means that they'll continue on in their sexual shenanigans, never getting that blood work done, never making it down there to the CVS to get an at-home testing kit, which are all available now. There's literally no excuse now for nobody not to know. That's why I will never let people or let the public, I would never settle for the public trying to convince or maintain this narrative that the infected persons owes them any fucking thing, because now the system has gone out of its way to give you all the contraceptions you can ask for, all the condoms you can ask for, all the prep you can ask for, all the at-home testing kits you can ask for, all of the availability for there to be transparency, for you to literally prevent these things from happening to yourself, aside from grape. So there's no literal excuse to be a motherfucking big ass dummy. And if you just don't have the wherewithal and the self-discipline to sit on your fucking hormones and to sit on your horniness, until you get access to PrEP, or until you get access to contraception, or until you and the person who you want to fuck for the night or fuck for the week or fuck for the next 6 months can go get tested, then you don't need to really be having sex at all. Because sex should really only be gifted and executed and participated in by people who have sexual ethics, who can be responsible behind the wheel of the car. And that also goes for people who are also carrying. You can be criminalized for not disclosing. And it also brings about a moral and an ethical argument, depending on swings both ways. But the reality is that if people practice sex more responsibly, you could profoundly decrease the spread of all these STIs and Ds, both the ones that are curable and incurable. You could literally mitigate that by just taking more responsibility. The audacity to live in a society where you don't even feel comfortable leaving the keys in your car in the parking lot, or leaving your front door open in an apartment complex, or leaving your goods to be delivered at the front door and to sit out there for an extended amount of time, but to believe that people are so integral and so honorable that they're going to disclose to you that they have herpes or HIV. I really don't understand I literally don't understand the compartmentalization of it all. You don't trust people, and no other way, all of a sudden you get the sex. Oh, baby. You're just going to let the doors of your pussy open, baby. You're just going to let the doors of your asshole open. You're just going to let the doors of your throat open, baby. You wouldn't even let a bitch sit in your back seat, but it can sit in your ass. Make it make sense. A motherfucker can't even rent out a room in your house without a thorough background check being done, without references, etc. But they can rent out a room in your ass. Make it make damn sense, baby. You ain't gotta have no necessary information. You ain't gotta ask no questions. You ain't no nothing, baby. Every lock on any window in your house works, because you want to prevent the outside from coming inside. And yet, you're not going to have that same self-preservation intact when it comes to exchanging fluids with each other. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Because ain't nobody making a motherfucking thing make sense to me. Now, I'm all for a good convincing argument, which is why I like to have these type of conversations, because I be looking for somebody to have a stronger argument than myself. If you can make it make sense to me, why you will protect your car, you will protect the assets within your home, you will protect your diamonds and pearls, hell, you will protect your entire bodily autonomy by having either a registered weapon on your persons, or hell, a unregistered weapon on your persons, but yet will completely and utterly take no self-preventive measures as it relates to sextivities. Is buckety wild, baby. That is some buck wild shit. Okay? And as Nene said, it's because of hormones, period. But once again, that go back to the conversation that, because what also needs to be, let me help the parents and the guardians and the school system out. Everybody who, lead in the conversation or need to be leading the conversation. on sexuality and sexual health. A big part of that sexual health and just that whole birds and the bees conversation doesn't just need to revolve around how the penis technically works and how the vagina technically works and how the anus technically works and how the throat technically works and how orgasm technically works and the transmission of semen and the transmission of STIs and STDs and pregnancy and all that. But a really big part of that conversation needs to also revolve around sexual discipline. Because, baby, yes, your hormones are going to hormone, baby. Okay? And because all of us as humans love us a good dopamine hit, we love a good serotonin hit. And because orgasms release the epitome of all of God's glory in our being, honey, it releases all of what I like to say, the God particles, the God chemicals, baby. Them serotonin and dopamine blows, bitch. Because we all are addicted to feeling good. And we all addicted to pleasure. And we like pleasure. Sex and sexual discipline can be hard if you don't have discipline. Engaging in responsible sexual exchange and behavior can be difficult if you have not mastered the art of being disciplined. And that discipline part of the conversation around sex is something that we need to really master in, and we need to really emphasize, and we need to learn how to disseminate, once again, everything around sexual health and sexual discipline to young people who have become of age. They are experiencing their hormones. Grown folk who are experiencing their hormones, and all the ways in which we could use sexual energy and or just say no to sexual energy until it is safe for our dicks and pussies and throats to come outside. To be able to say no to the spirit of horniness, baby, until you see said paperwork, until you ask the necessary questions, until you get access to the contraceptions, until you get access to the prep, until you get access to just say no to that spirit of horniness. It can be done. Desires do not control us. Desires inform us. Desires peer pressure us, but they do not ultimately decide for us. And if our desires are leading our lives and they are leading the type of choices we are making, it's because we have lacked the self-control to make better informed decisions from a rational and logical standpoint rather than a hormonal one. People lacking emotional and hormonal control has led to people as being in prison because they have not been able to get a grip on their rage and their anger, and they have made very terrible decisions based upon their impulses and their feelings. And the more self-discipline and self-control you lack, the more of a slave you're going to feel to your desires. It's going to feel like you really can't say no when you can. It's going to feel like you just can't sit the fuck down and chill the fuck out when you actually, in fact, can. Even when you've gone your whole life not practicing discipline in whatever area of your life you hadn't practiced that in. You may have an issue not having no discipline when it comes to spending money. You may have an issue with a lack of discipline when it comes to overeating. You may have a lack of a discipline when it comes to over shopping. You may have a lack of discipline when it comes to sex. You may have a lack of wherever the fuck the lack of discipline is. Yes, the longer you lack in self-control, the longer you lack in self-discipline, the harder it will be in the moment to tell yourself no, but it is still nonetheless possible. And nobody is entirely at fault but you. So whether you got to get your ass in a yoga class, whether you got to get your ass in the gym and find other ways to put your body and your mind in disciplinary situations where you can learn how to strengthen your authority over yourself, baby, speak to that spirit of deep throating. Speak to that spirit, baby, of busting it wide open, baby. You rebuke that spirit out of your puss. You rebuke it, baby, out of your mind. Okay, you wrestle not with flesh and blood, but spirits, principalities, and hormones that exist, baby, sometimes in very wicked and high places. And when we do that, we will be better off. Now, anybody got any questions for me before we bounce, baby? Because I think we're complete here. Is it black women have it most out of all women of all people? Yes. Black women are the leading carriers, unfortunately. Unfortunately, child. It's unfortunate, but see, we can lessen that right now. We just got to get in control of ourselves. We got to accept that nobody owes us anything. We got to accept that it's up to us to live our lives from the highest level of good, the highest level of vitality, and the highest level of wellness. Can I get an amen? Okay, when we can stop with this is somebody else's responsibility shit. Somebody else should have told me. Well, they should have, bitch, but they didn't, and now you're here with the crunch and munch. Now you got the crunch and munch, bitch. Okay? Practice the self-control and the responsibility you need to in the moment so that you're not around here talking about what shoulda, coulda. Bitch, don't be a shoulda, coulda, bitch. Don't be a shoulda, coulda, nigga. Okay? When you make it your responsibility to make sure that you're going to be good today and you're going to be good tomorrow based upon the very intentionality that's going to go into tonight or this afternoon with this motherfucker, you can avoid being a coulda, shoulda, woulda, because once it's you, baby, it don't matter who did what, because now it's you. Yes, the state may penalize that person, put their ass away for 10 years, but what does it matter when now you sitting in a reality that could have been prevented, aside from in the instances of grape? Nobody has to be a shoulda, a coulda, a woulda. And I know, but baby, it's hard in this consumeristic ass society for us to, take the level of responsibility that we should be taking, but we're going to have to. We're going to have to. If you want these numbers to look differently, if you want these statistics to look differently, and that goes for all communities. The Latina, the white, the black, the woman, the male, the gay, the straight, the in-between, bitch. You're protecting everything else. Protect your damn sexual health. You know what the logic is of people who infected should tell me something. You know what that logic is? That's like you sitting up in your house and you believing that a passerby should lock your windows for you. That a passerby should lock your doors for you. Does that make any damn sense? No, it doesn't. Should somebody be breaking in your shit to begin with? No, they shouldn't. But should you know that there are thieves and burglars and very harmful people in the world and still choose to leave your shit wide open? Ain't right either. It's not right to be ignorant. It's not right to be stupid. It's not right to willfully open yourself up to abusive and damaging behavior or damaging, harmful realities when you know what you know about the nature of the world and about the nature of being human. And once again, this ain't no even indictment against those who are promiscuous, because it ain't even about being a hoe, being a slut. It ain't about none of that. It's about literally reckless sexual behavior. And being promiscuous is not in and of itself reckless, because you got a lot of hoes who are STI, STD clear. You got a lot of down low men and down low women who are STD, STI cleared. It's about the reckless disregard of your health. That's what's at the root of this shit. You can be everything from the virgin to the hoe who spins the block and be STI and STD clear, if you're responsible in your behavior. Contrary to popular belief, lots of sex workers have pristine sexual health because it's their literal business. Sex is their business. And their sexual health reputation largely depends on whether they're going to thrive in that sexual business or not. It's the carelessness and the recklessness of it all. You know, the lesser of the two evils is, well, don't cheat, sure. But baby, if you're going to cheat, can you be responsible for the sake of yourself and for the sake of your partner at home? Because there's lots of even cheaters who out here on their knees in Belize, on their back in Iraq, baby. Dibbling and dabbling with lots of cold slaw, lots of side pieces, and are STD, STI cleared. And once again, y'all, don't think that you have to give up practicing or having responsible sexual practices, even if you're in a committed relationship, because lots of couples that, like I said, I know are in long-term relationships and marriages, engagements, and still use contraception, still use condoms, still get regularly tested. So you also don't have to sit in any relationship, even if you're in a marriage, even if you're in a so-called monogamous relationship or whatever the covenant is. And you don't have to give up getting tested or give up the use of said preventive measures. That's just literally of your personal preference. Anna says, honestly, I don't trust blood tests. They are much more accurate for STDs than at-home tests, but use them all. What we are encouraging, point blank in a period, is utilize what you have and just don't be walking into a potentially burning house without having at least yielded to the very basics, which is ask a motherfucker. You can at least do that, baby. You can ask the partner, ask the person that you're going to be hooking up with, when was the last time they were tested? Are they currently carrying anything? You can require paperwork. You can go get tested together. They are at-home tests, and these at-home tests are approved of, okay? They can be a matter of life and death. Utilize whatever you have to your availability, but just do not be a dummy jackass and be walking around here doing God knows what with God knows motherfucking who, and then in the circumstance of you contracting something, your lack of emotional intelligence forces you to believe that you bear no damn responsibility in the situation when you in fact do. And if nobody told you yet, bitch, I just told you just now. So now you done been told. Now you done been told, and now you know that you too are fully responsible for the health and the wellness of your immune system and of your body. and do not, for whatever reason, believe that these 34 states that criminalize HIV as it relates to disclosure are something you need to romanticize or you need to have hope in, because these laws are penalizing people who have already infected you. So, baby, that's not a win. It's not a win for a person with HIV to end up in jail or prison because they didn't tell you, when you are still nonetheless the person who is positive. The whole goal is preventive. Being more disciplined, being better informed, and being in the practice of taking the steps you need to take to make sure that you're going to be good after any excursion with any persons. That's why I am so surprised that they didn't find a bunch of condoms. Child, please. They not. Because wherever you find drugs, you're not going to find the condoms. Drugs enable people's critical thinking faculties. You got alcohol, you got GHB, you got methamphetamine, you got all these various intoxicants and hallucinogenics. You're not going to find them coming out of the house with thousands of condoms. Wherever you typically find heavy drug use at, you're going to find your fair share of STIs and STDs because they compromise your rationale and the critical cognitive parts of your brain that is responsible for making informed decisions. This is why DUIs happen. This is why drunk driving happen. This is why all type of fatalities and fuckery happens when people are intoxicated. You're not well within your mind, even if you go in starting with the condom. By the time you juiced up on whatever the hell you juiced up on, baby, condom gonna be gone. Condom gonna be resolved at some point. Yep, it lowers your inhibitions. So, anybody want to hit the link before we get up out of her? Are we good? There is a sex addiction problem going on watching Paternity Court. Yep, it is, because people are, so funny, because we largely as humans love a good dopamine and serotonin hit. We typically, most people, are in a addicted state. And the thing about it is that stress can heighten those addictions, because the more stressed you are, you're going to be looking for pleasure to counter the stress in your life. And instead of actually resolving and getting to the bottom line of what's causing the stress, most people try to treat the stress through pursuing pleasure. And once again, that pleasure can be in any area. It can be in money. It could be in eating. It could be in sex. It could be in hoarding. It could be in any area of life. You just sit down there in the damn middle. Anywhere. And this is why urban communities and minority communities typically have issues around things like this, things like STIs, STDs, and all these type of maladies amongst our fucking community. Because you have people in a struggle who are treating the struggle and treating the stress of the struggle with the pursuit of pleasure, aka those dopamine and serotonin hits. The rabbit hole goes deep, y'all. Shout out to my baby mother Lisa for the nasty piece of child support check on period. Thank you, baby mother. Thank you, darling. Hold on, what the hell? Popular restaurant busted for serving cocaine as a side dish with their best-selling pizza. You know what? Let me get the hell up out of here. Hold on. Let me drop the link real quick. Girl, it's too much guard. Y'all heard about McDonald's, girl? Big Macs got these hoes running around here with a shitty nose and a shitty ass, girl. All this asbestos and E. coli, baby, in the Big Mac, bitch. Y'all heard about that shit? Nah. They done busted a restaurant in... Where this happened at? In Germany? Well, on Monday, after being accused... Hold on, let me drop this link while I'm reading this shit. Girl, the world done lost their damn mind. I just dropped the link. Y'all better hurry up because we ain't gonna be up here all day. So if you're coming, hit the link. On Monday, after being accused of serving cocaine as a side dish, a Dieseldorf pizza restaurant was raided. According to BBC, the investigation was first launched by authorities after food inspectors tipped them off. As a result, they arrested the 36-year-old manager. But when they first arrived at his apartment, he launched a bag of drugs out of the window that supposedly fell right into the arms of the police officer. Oh my God. Authorities found 400 grams of marijuana, 3 pounds of cocaine, and about $290,000. Once the manager was released from custody, girl, they released his ass. He went back to selling his popular menu item, which led to a complete drug ring being uncovered. Multiple homes and businesses were raided, found 2 cannabis plantations with 360 plants, weapons, money, and luxury watches. After multiple arrests, police were led to believe that the drug ring is led by a 22-year-old. God, send the damn flood. I want to welcome Homebody and Rashonda. What's going on, child? Can y'all... Hey, Homebody and Rashonda. Homebody, I think that your microphone is muted, child.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of these Bluetooths and stuff. 1 minute it's connected, 1 minute it's not. You know what? You know what? Let me let me relax. But hi everybody.
Hey.
Hey, I was so happy, Conscious, that you brought this up just as a healthcare professional.
Yes.
And I'm like, I had time, because I got off of work a little bit early today, and I was just so happy to hear you talking about this. I'm like, see, that's why I fuck with him.
Period.
That's why I fuck with him. And so I'm just really glad that you're saying it, and I appreciate everything you mentioned. And I was bringing up, in the chat that definitely, if you're able to, I know everyone doesn't have insurance and everyone cannot afford it, but if you can get a blood test, Planned Parenthood does it really cheap. Get a blood test if you can, because that's the most accurate thing, but get a home test as well if that's all you can do. Just protect yourself. Just protect yourself.
Yes. Do something. Now, as somebody who is in the healthcare profession, like, tell us what you're seeing on the other side of the wall. Like, what have been your takeaways? What are you seeing? And what do you think about, like, this sustainability of STIs and STDs in our community?
Yeah, so I've worked in pharmacy for 15 years. I don't work on like in the front lines as far as like in a retail pharmacy and seeing patients day to day. I work more on the corporate side now.
Okay.
But when I was working in pharmacy, like on the front line, so to speak, meaning in the counter and giving patients prescriptions and things, we sold, we had what we called, I don't know if they still call it this today, but they used to be called fast movers. And fast movers are medications that the public usually uses or uses often or uses frequently. And so some of those fast mover medications, we kept it in the front of the pharmacy, whereas the other medications were kept in the back. And so some of those fast movers would be anxiety medications, of course, antibiotics because people get sick. There would be depression medications, but there would also be HIV and AIDS medications in that group of fast movers.
Hmm.
So, meaning we were selling that so often, we had to keep it in
Mm.
the front.
Wow.
And that was 15 years ago.
Wow.
So, like I said, I don't work in the front line of the pharmacy now. I work
Yeah.
more on the corporate side, but I can't imagine what it is now if that's what it was 15 years ago. And so
Mhm.
I just want everyone to know that like it's a real thing. And HIV and AIDS are not the only most
Mhm.
serious diseases. You can get chlamydia,
Yep.
gonorrhea, you can
Mm-hmm.
get syphilis, you
Yep.
can get herpes, and if you get herpes, that's sort of a done deal. That's sort of like a for
And if
life
you get any
type
of
of
the
thing.
STDs that you just mentioned and they are untreated, they can lead to a catastrophe on your body.
Exactly.
It can lead
Oh,
to
exactly. If they're untreated.
blindness and a lack of mobility, the paralyzation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And I was just like reading the chat as everyone was having the conversation. I loved what everyone was
Yeah.
contributing to the chat. Um, but I can't remember. But a lot of people were making good points. But um, like something that stood out to me, someone said, is that you really don't know what people look like. And
Yeah.
I think maybe conscious you were speaking on that because I remember when I was working in pharmacy, some people did have marks on their bodies or had skin, diseases that you could visibly tell. Other people look normal. It would be, just
Mm-hmm.
regular everyday people working, wearing suits or wearing regular clothes and stuff, and I would know they were getting, HIV or AIDS medications or herpes
Mhm.
medications or whatever because I could read the prescription and see it.
Right.
Obviously, I didn't announce it to the pharmacy. I would lose my job and lose my license.
Mhm.
But I say that to say that people look normal. So when you do hear of someone who has an STD or something, it's a very normal thing. And conscious, I wish I could give you a hug because I'm so happy that you talk about this and you take so much time to let people know like details from your experience from stories that you've heard, and I just really really appreciate you. And I'll stay online, but I definitely want to give other people the floor as well.
Okay, boo. Thank you so much. Oh, and I do have a question for you. Like, so what do you think? Because do you think that because HIV has been managed in modern times in a way that leads to people being able to continue on to live a great life, a healthy life, a long life, even to the point that the medication can treat the viral load, which can reduce transmission? Do you think that this has unfortunately kind of put a reverse uno and aided and abetted in people continuing on in irresponsible sexual behavior? Like, what do you think is why are people still why is it that our community is still grappling with
Yeah.
making better, more informed, responsible choices around our sexual health and sexual engagement?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'll just speak from as myself because I don't represent obviously the whole
Hmm.
healthcare industry, but I don't feel as though it's that there's treatment out there that's making people more reckless. I just think that sex is just so normalized now. And that's what some people were talking about in the chat. Like, sex is
Hmm.
just so normalized. Go to Instagram, you see sex. Just go scroll on your reel. You'll see ass if you don't even want to see ass, and or go to your favorite pop star or rapper, musician or musician. Like, sex is being sold. So I don't think
Yeah.
that people are taking advantage of like the advancements that have been made in the medical industry.
Yeah.
I just think that it's so normal now. It's so normal now. Like, you you have um I will maybe this was happening, way back then, but you just have, more examples and more stories of, girls going on dates or, people going on dates in general, regardless of who they were going on a date with, being asked for sex like at the first meeting, and that's sort
Mm-hmm.
of what the young lady was saying in the video
Yeah.
you played. And so it's like it's so normal now, and it's weird to me, but I just hope whoever's listening knows, like, you can get that same adrenaline rush and that same high from sex by like different hobbies. Like you can do
Yeah.
different things and still enjoy yourself. Like you don't need to be
Work
naked or
out,
pounded.
honey. Like do the crunches, honey. Go put some weight and get them dopamine serotonin hits. It's like you said, it's all way
Exactly.
to get that chemical release, and we don't have enough conversation about the alternatives to sex as well. You know.
Yeah, and I'll say this and then I'll leave it for other folks in the chat to talk. But whenever you do go to the doctor and your doctor is asking you about your sex life, they really don't care what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You could be having orgies, you could be having threesomes, you could be dating girls, you could be dating men, you could be like dating, working girls in the street. They really do not care. They're not there to judge you. They're asking for two reasons. Reason number one, the primary reason is to make sure that you're healthy and
Yeah.
to give you the information, get you tested, see whatever resources. So
Mm-hmm.
they're asking to see if you're healthy. And reason number two is sex is not something that is required as a human function for you to live healthy. So if your doctor is asking you if you're having sex, that doesn't, they're not saying like, oh, you should be having sex.
Right.
Because sex is not something that is required for all the years and centuries of healthcare. You don't need to be penetrated to have a good life.
That part.
And so it's just those two things. And I know, Conscious, you have like a really broad range of followers varying from different ages, and so I didn't mean to be long-winded, but I just wanted to share,
I know
just in
you're
case you
good,
have young
and
people listening.
no, I love that you are long winded because you, as you said, you work in the pharmaceutical industry, you work in that space, so it's really important that we hear, from the experts and the people who are in these fields as well. So I'm glad that you joined this conversation and that you joined this
Thank you.
discussion. And so I'm gonna get to the other people, but I'm gonna circle back around because I have a question for all of y'all too, as it relates to this topic. Rashonda, welcome to the platform, boo. Your thoughts?
Hey,
Hey, what's
hey,
going
man.
on? Your thoughts on
Yeah.
what's happening out here in these streets?
Well, what I want to say is that first of all, we as a whole we don't respect each other's faith.
Mm,
We don't respect each other as a people. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Let's start there. And people think sex is used as not only a weapon, they use it to control. Um, they use it to get stuff out of people. They use it for all the wrong reasons.
mm,
And when you don't have a healthy sex life, um, it's going to cost you. And people think it's a game out here, not understanding that that's your life. And they're not understanding that just because you got it, you don't need to pass it down to someone else. Let me tell you something. I have a friend that works in the medical field, right? She works at the STD clinic, okay? She works at the STD clinic. She have told me so many stories of how many people have came in there scratching, itching. They have the spray, people with BD, crabs, different things like that. And I witnessed something that was so obnoxious and it made me upset. This guy, he knew he had something. He knew he had something. So he was going off on this girl. Man, why we up here? Why we up here? And then they came from the back. He had something, and she was crying. She was upset. So a lot of people are ashamed and afraid to get checked because they scared they're going to be judged. They're scared they're gonna, you know, they're not gonna be able to have sex anymore. They're scared they're gonna be. It's a number of different things why they're not gonna be able to do sexual activities. But the thing is, conscious and everybody on the panel, why put somebody else in danger just because you wanna or you have a fetish or whatever? It's okay to do these things, but don't put other innocent people in danger um, about something that you wants to do. You see what I'm saying? It's like you want to give them a distance they didn't even ask for. You see what I'm saying? And it's not fair to innocent people who, that's why a lot of people are practicing abstinence and different things like that because they realize. And let's not forget, y'all, the monkeypox is still out here. That's a new one, and folks still out here doing stuff. They taking it as a joke, like this stuff ain't popping up. There's a new. I looked online, and they have a new thing called the ringworm. I don't know if you familiar with that, but it's a new disease coming out. And they said you get ringworms all over your body. So I'm telling you, this stuff is serious, and you gotta be healthy. You see what I'm saying? Because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. How are you gonna function or do anything, and you sitting up here laid up here sick? You see what I'm saying? Unnecessarily. You don't have sex just to function and stuff like that. Let me tell you something. I'm 44 years old, and I have found ways, like you said, conscious earlier, do things that can, it's other things in life that you could be doing besides having sex. It's like it's sex driving folks crazy. You see what I'm saying? And then here's the thing: sex is getting a lot of people hurt. Sex is getting a lot of people killed. Um, this is something that we need to take serious because if we don't, a lot of people won't be here. Um, and you don't want that to be passed down to your children and different things like that. It's like people exclude what sex is about. You see what I'm saying? It's supposed to be healthy and it's supposed to be fun at some time. But we living in a generation where they don't really care about that and they don't really care about you or your feelings and stuff like that. And if we don't get this stuff together, the human race is going to be gone. You see what I'm saying? Because if you look at it, all they want to do is have sex, money, and drugs. That's basically what the world wants to do now. And they see that it keeps getting us in trouble. So we have to have knowledge. We have to be educated on this stuff. Get some education in your life about sex and different things like that because it can save your life.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Agreed. Room is in tea. Your thoughts?
Hey, Conscious. Hey, panel. Hey, crew.
Hey.
Hey.
I was hesitant. Normally I'll be like in a rush to hit the link because I be having so much to say. But on this topic, honestly, education is important, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like when it comes to the U.S., like the Western part of the world, I think they lack real educational material and experience
Mhm.
to provide us with. We harping so much on the physicalness because when people speak about sex, it's always about the physical act. And I love what the previous panelist said. I forgot her name. The one that's in the pharmaceutical
Homebody.
industry.
Homebody.
Homebody. Yes, I
Hey,
appreciate.
Rumors and Tea. I was trying
Hey,
to say
hey,
hi to you, but I think I was on mute. How you doing, girl?
I appreciate the professional aspect that you provided, as well as even touching on because we talked about this a few nights ago. Um, I just think that we're so caught up in this country on this side of the planet with physical sexual acts, and there is so
Mhm.
much more to sex than the physical aspect of it. And I wish that we had more educators to speak out against, teach, put that information out there, because there is also a spiritual side. There's also a mental side, right? A psychological side to the
Mhm.
actual component of sex that is actually more fulfilling than actual the physical, because the physical part of it is fleeing. It's gonna come. You may get your rocks off. Maybe 15 minutes. I'm like, cause you can go through the whole performative act of it. It could last for an hour, could last 45 minutes, half an hour, whatever. But the actual, like, the climax of it all and all of the release, give it 15 minutes tops. It is not long lasting. It's very fleeing, and it doesn't. I think it doesn't sustain people, and that I believe that is the reason why people are so obsessed with it, because it is fleeing, just like like a narcotic, right? You get high, and the more the high doesn't last long, so you have to consume more and more and more of it in order to feel that stimulant, right? That's how I view the physical act of sex. But we don't
And you
have
know what?
spaces,
You know what as
huh?
well too, to add on what you're saying, Rose and T, this is Homebody. To add on what you're saying, I think too, like what gets people like caught up in this in sex is the like interaction they have with a person, because that you can feel like someone really cares about you, in that moment. And
But
so
that's
I
why I was
think
saying that's how we're taught. Because remember,
right.
like, we've all heard this expression, your body is a temple. The most important thing, especially to women, because they don't give this conversation to the men. Oh, your body is the most important thing that you can give to a man. And I say there's a balance there. There's truth to that as far as when you look at the physical, like the health part, the health side, right? But if you don't like the spiritual aspect of it, right? It is just as much of an important factor and component in it than the physical. And I don't think that we're taught that. And what we're taught, like we see, everything is overly sexualized. So we've been conditioned like every other disease, because I feel like it's a disease. I'm gonna be honest with you. Every other
Mhm.
bad habit that we've been conditioned with has to break us down, to lose focus of our higher self. And for
Mhm.
me, I know that the physical sexual aspect of it is a distraction. Not to say I don't want to demonize it, because I personally myself, I love sex. I've just learned to channel that energy and find other ways to fulfill those needs that
Hmm.
are actually more like,
Mhm.
I can't even express it out. Every time I talk about it, since I get turned on, I'm gonna be honest, it is so much more fulfilling for me than the actual physical act. And I'm really aware that they don't want us to have that. That's like a utopia. They don't want us to reach that peak, because then guess what? You'll learn to control yourself. Now that
Mhm.
becomes an issue when it comes to capitalism, because you won't be out here having, a lot of, promiscuity in a physical way, where then there wouldn't be a rash break of, large heightened numbers of all of these STDs and STIs, because now people have found another way to fulfill their needs that would not result in them putting themselves in a physical danger. That's a problem. But in other countries, because I did the research, in other countries, guess what? They teach this, and they allow these practices, and they don't demonize it. But here it's demonized.
You
And
know
so I
why
think
I
that's a
want?
lot to be, huh?
I was gonna say something about what you were saying. The reason why they do that is because they want us to. Again, I said this once before. They want us to stay stuck, and they want us to be dumb, and they want us to basically, be the demise of our own self. You see what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
what better way? What better way to use sex as a weapon to, you know, make people, go against themselves? You see what I'm saying?
But the responsibility, although I understand how the industry, this country has designed certain things, I still feel like the responsibility lies on us, right?
Hmm.
And for me, I think that there is something absolutely wrong with any individual that will put their 100% of their trust into someone else to be responsible for their health.
Mm-hmm.
When we know that the majority, now let's make it a man, it doesn't matter if you're same gender loving or not, right? But we know the majority of men do not go to the doctor and properly get tested for freaking just to check their freaking pressure. They don't go to the
Absolutely.
basic things. You understand? And we know these
Exactly.
things. So to feel as though just because a person looks healthy, just because you like a person, you're going to put your trust 100% in that person and not take the proper protocol, preventative measures to make sure that you remain healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even trust him to get his ass up half the time. Not all, but in general. And I'm not trying to even make it a man thing because I feel like women need to take responsibility, especially black women. We are the leader. Like that's been like what the last 15, 20 years. We are the leading in this disease. Not just I don't want to make it just about HIV, but we were up there and we put our trust and we put the responsibilities on others to tell us divulge their medical history. But what are we doing to protect ourselves? Because no matter what he tells me, what she tells me, what did I do to take care of me? Why am I
Yeah.
leaving my health, making my health prevention your responsibility?
And let's
That's
talk about like the
important.
nuance.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add, like, and, man, this conversation leads to a very nuanced one, even about the numbers regarding like Black women, because we need to really explore that to really understand what's going on. Like, it's going to be so important for Black women to protect themselves, because the fact that Black women are the leading carriers, especially amongst like all other demographics of women, means one or two things. It means that Black women are participating in a harmful behavior and conduct as it relates to sex. Um, and or it means that the number of infected Black men who are attracted to women are infecting multiple women by the bundle, which means, and if that's the case, that means that there's a lot of infidelity and backdooring that's taking place if black women
Mm-hmm.
if Black women are also collaborating on this issue amongst their community. It means that there's too much relaxation and casualness around sex and sneaky links and continuing to deal with ex-boyfriends who are exes, and they are also living their sexual lives with other women, relaxing as it relates to like long-term sneaky links who you may be comfortable with, but are still who are still engaging in sexual conduct with other persons, like all these alternative non-traditional situations, which the situations are not a problem. Once again, it's the like lack of protecting oneself, and you should never allow how long we've been cut buddies, how long, like, okay, you're my ex-boyfriend, I'm comfortable with you, but yeah, I still need to protect myself from your motherfucking ass, because you are at leisure and at liberty to engage with anybody you see fit as it
You're
relates to sex.
absolutely hitting the nail on the head, Conscious,
Mhm.
because working in healthcare for so many years, I'll tell you what I've noticed, because I most of the work that I do is with patients that have any critical disease. So it could be whatever, that everything we've been discussing. And what I'll tell you is friends don't show up
Mm.
when the disease gets bad or when there's an
Mm-hmm.
issue with the insurance and The patient can't get the prescription anymore. Friends, I don't usually see a lot of friends showing up, and patients always have the option to add, who they want us to give access to speak with. We
Yeah.
were talking about HIPAA laws earlier, so you
Mhm.
can put your friend's name on there. Like I have friends that I have my family members and my friends and all of my um as my contacts and
Mm.
things like that in case anything happens to me, and my family and friends already know like what's up. And so but I have friends that I grew up with since I was 5 years old. And so what I say that to say that, in my experience, when things do get bad, and the topic and what we've been talking about in the past few minutes is look out for yourself, because
Mhm.
when it comes down to the disease getting really bad, or there's an issue with you getting the medication that you need to take care of your disease, a lot of times friends don't show up, and most times, I'll say most times, it's family and spouses that show up. And then, even with family and spouses that show up, there can be turmoil in that relationship. I've dealt with families whose kids never really liked the parents,
Mhm.
due to whatever happened in their upbringing. And so
Yeah.
they were, even though they would answer calls to help their parent get the medication they needed, for whatever disease it was, STDs or cancer medication or whatever, or heart disease, treatment, um, the family dynamic would also be scathed. And so, in addition to taking care of yourself for your own health and for your own future, I would add as well, treat people right, because
Mhm.
you might need them later.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that we can talk about that all day. Like, you don't know, like, who you're going to need in the end. That's a very long conversation. But when it comes to your health, treat yourself right first.
Absolutely.
And anyone who questions you wanting to go get tested together, or if you ask them the last time they went to their doctor, if you ask them if they have a doctor, and if they're like, why are you asking me that? Leave. It's not even like
Right.
all these human beings in the world, you can find someone else to get with.
Period.
And so I just wanted to share that. But I just really appreciate what everyone's talking about. I'm going to drop off because I just put some lasagna in the oven and it's
Ooh,
about ready.
fix
Girl,
me a
I got
plate. Fix me a plate. Fix me a plate.
girl. So I made like this Alfredo lasagna and made the garlic
Oh,
bread.
you better leave me alone, homebody.
Mm-mm.
You better leave me the hell alone. You better
I know.
leave me alone.
Don't do it.
I'm
Wait,
gonna keep listening to the show,
okay, boo.
but I just wanted to say good night for now. But I'll keep listening, and I just appreciate and respect everyone on the panel, and I respect you so much, Conscious.
Absolutely, boo. I love you too, and thank you for joining.
All
You
right, bye,
homebody.
guys.
That was our homebody, you guys. Okay, let me get Felicia in this conversation. Faye.
You're too cute, Conscious. You're such a joy. When I come home and I catch you on a live, it's such a pleasure. And your panel is always so
Oh, thank you so
well
much, boo.
spoken and well thought out, and whatever the
Thank you so
topic
much,
is.
babes. I
I was
appreciate
very saddened to
it.
hear that piece. I'm a baby boomer, so I
Mhm.
don't really know much of what goes on in the social scene
Yeah,
for young people. Or younger people. So when I hear it, it's kind of heartbreaking for me because I think sex is wonderful.
yeah,
Intimate sex is wonderful. Being intimate with a partner, someone you love, someone that you build a relationship with is great.
yes.
I firmly believe that you should have a very steadfast lover, not multiple partners and things like that. But when I was looking over the data, it just deeply saddened me because the data says that 70% of the new cases from 2022 on are primarily Black, African American, and Latino,
Yep.
and that the largest group affected are groups 13 to age 34.
Young.
And so my observation has been, I only live here in the Northeast, not all over the United States, but my observation has been that there's an incredible amount of loneliness out here.
Mm.
it just suffocating loneliness. And I'm wondering, amongst all the other things that come into play, is that what's driving primarily? They're saying, as you pointed out so brilliantly before, there's probably, let's say, one male that's infected 10 women. I mean, because they have multiple partners, they move without thought or emotion or commitment all too often. And so it's not all Black men, it's not all Black women, it's not all Latino men, it's not all Latino women. There's a pocket that's infecting and tapping in on the loneliness and the isolation of many people. And look what it's done. The numbers are, I didn't know they were so high. You see how high those numbers are?
Yeah.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
What does it talk about the health of the new children coming into the world, the health of a pregnant mother? This isn't good. And I agree with Rumors and Tea. We have to get to educating about this, the health, the medical downside of what happens to you when you've been exposed like this at such a young age, what it does to the sexual organs, the body, in order to produce healthy life. So I thank you. I thank you for having these conversations. They open up your mind and your thoughts, and you're talking about alternatives, what to do other than having a moment and engaging in sex with the neighbor down the hall is a bad move.
Work out. And my alternative has been fasting, like when I have too much of that energy in me and I don't necessarily want to express it in a sexual way, I don't want to engage in sex. My alternative has been working out, running, and like finding a alternative physical activity to exhaust that energy out of me with. And this also leads to an increase in physical fit and being healthy. It's also a great motivation to burn calories, when you kind of restrain that sexual energy. Sometimes I'll also put it into my career as a commentator, which is why y'all sometimes see me go like all out. I'll be like 2 weeks, 3 weeks straight, all day, every day commentating. What y'all getting is a horny ass CTV who is restreaming that sexual damn energy and putting it into my drive. It increases my drive. So there are so many ways you can use sexual energy, and so many ways it can be transmuted, it can be restrained, it can be repurposed. And so, there are alternatives to engaging sexual energy aside from just either engaging it or just not acting on it. There's a lot of in between and a lot of productive use we can get out of that energy. Something else I was going to say is that, as we had touched on earlier before, like you said, Fee, there's a lot of loneliness going on. I know that we're living in a very unusually stressful era because there's so much going on politically and socioeconomically when it comes to Black and brown people in particular. And when you are dealing with reality for the people who sit like the closest to the bottom and the base of the pyramid, you get more stressful realities. And the more stress a community is, the more that they're going to seek indulgence and seek pleasure as a way to treat that stress, whether that stress is resulting in a loneliness, whether it's resulting in relationship epidemics, which we have a lot of that going on in the community right now. Black women are struggling to secure viable Black male partners. There's a lot going on socially. There's a lot of policing. There's a lot of police brutality. There's just a lot of resources that are being sucked and dry. We're going through pandemics as well as epidemics. So there's a lot of quantified stress in people's lives. You have inflation. You just have all of this shit that's transpiring. So people's only common sense resolve has been to run to pleasure to mitigate the stress of their lives. And because sex is the most conducive and easiest, and it's so accessible, especially now in the era of technology and dating apps and sex apps, etc., that you can get those dopamine and serotonin hits, more quicker now, more daily, even if you need to, because of how tangible and available other human beings are to engage you in that way. It leads to the unfortunate abuse of sex. It leads to the unfortunate reckless disregard of sexual health, even when we are living from our impulses, when we're living largely from our survival mechanisms, because we are impulse control rather than having the logical, rational thinking that lends itself to healthy results and outcomes. And so, we have I'll always say that as a Black and brown community, we are in a very precarious predicament, because we have both kind of these outward systemic issues that contribute to the breakdown of our community spiritually, the breakdown of our community intellectually, the breakdown of our community economically, and then we have the added burden of actually overcoming circumstances that are not going to at least change right now. Even if they are going to change in time and over time, they're not going to change now, and therefore there are changes we need to make within ourselves in order to not allow the external stimuli to keep compromising us in all of these unfortunate ways. And we got to talk about it for sure, because these are real life issues that are impacting us. It's impacting our grandbabies. It's impacting these the generations to come. And if we're not really shoveling and getting to the bottom line and doing the autopsy on what the fuck is going on, and we're not having more conversations around our reproductive health, our sexual health, what it means to be a sexual being. God has entitled all of us to sexual functionality, and to sexual experience. We all have hormones. Sex it shows no respect of any persons, which is why our young people also naturally embark upon this hormonal reality, by way of puberty. And it introduces them to an inner world of feelings and chemical releases that, if not properly taught, not properly nurtured, not properly governed, can lead to a lot of stunted development and growth, and that recklessness that we're talking about. But that loneliness that you speak to, Fifi, yes, it is a part of that big demon of all of these systemic issues that are creating loneliness, is creating a heightened hyper need for pleasure. And the conversations around the alternatives and the healthy alternatives and the healthy outlets, including even self-pleasure, is something that we need to talk a lot more of, because the world is growing more increasingly low vibrational. People's ethics and integrity are not as intact and in place these days. And we're living in a space where we have to take more precaution as it relates to protecting ourselves from other human beings, because of the issue of a lack of integrity and character, and people being so driven by their impulses that that's their priorities, getting their needs met, not so much as doing the right thing, or doing the rational thing, or doing the logical thing, or doing the sensible thing, communicating how they should, exchanging information how they should. People are just literally led and governed, which is what the system wanted to do to begin with. Patriarchy, this Luciferian satanic system, wanted to reduce us to our primal instincts so that it could create this implosion amongst humanity and amongst communities and societies. And we're playing right into it by collaborating with it and justifying the reckless results of our lives, because we're in a thick situation, we're in a tough situation that shouldn't be used as a justification. It can be used as an explanation for the abuse of it all, for the chaos of it all, for the bullshit of it all, but it should not be used necessarily as a justification. We can understand what creates these things, but we should be passionate about the resolutions to these things. I wanted to ask y'all as well before we wrap. What do y'all think about the issue of criminalization of HIV positive people? There's a lot of pushback on criminalizing HIV persons, and a lot of activists and organizations are looking to challenge a lot of the HIV disclosure legislation that is in place, etc. But before we actually get to that, let me read some more of those key facts as Felicia was pointing out. Black people in the U.S. have been disproportionately affected by HIV since the epidemic's beginning, and that disparity has deepened over time. Although they represent 12 to 13% of the U.S. population, Black people account for a much larger share of HIV diagnosis, by 39% of people living with HIV, and deaths amongst people with HIV than any other racial ethnic group in the United States. Amongst Black Americans, Black women and youth and gay and bisexual men have been disproportionately impacted by HIV. This is why I always say too that, you know, it's funny how we segregate and we prejudice Black queer people, but we're really all in the same boat, and we are going through a lot of the same things, and it makes more sense for the community to really just act as a community and as a whole than to be acting as individual limbs as if we're not connected practically to the same body, because we are. Several challenges contribute to the epidemic amongst Black people, including experiences with stigma and discrimination, higher rates of poverty, like I was talking about, the lack of access to health care, as Homebody was talking about, higher rates of some sexually transmitted infections, and lower awareness of HIV status. Recent data indicates some encouraging trends, including declining new HIV diagnoses amongst Black people overall, especially amongst women, and a leveling off of new diagnoses amongst Black, gay, and bisexual men. However, given the epidemic's continued and disproportionate impact on Black people, continued focus on this population is key to addressing HIV in the United States. Okay, so there is kind of like a slow march or a visible improvement, but because of the severity of this epidemic amongst communities, there is a lot of work we have to continue to do, because we're still making up for the larger body of people who are living alongside HIV as a Black and brown community. Modernizing state HIV laws and legislation to prevent and decriminalize HIV. Though we've made progress on the number of HIV cases in the U.S., tens of thousands of Americans are diagnosed with HIV each year, a disproportionate number being people of color. In 2019, the federal government launched the Ending of the HIV Epidemic, a plan for America with a goal of ending the HIV epidemic by 2030. EHE leverages 4 strategies to reduce the prevalence of HIV: diagnosis, treat, prevent, and respond. State efforts to reduce the incidence of HIV align with the federal plan, and with many states passing legislation to enhance prevention and harm risk reduction efforts as part of the 2021 Legislative Prospectus Series, ASTHO. Expect state efforts to increase prevention efforts in 3 key areas. All right. During the early years of HIV epidemic, many states implemented HIV-specific criminal exposure laws to discourage behavior that might lead to transmission, promote safer sex practices, and in some cases receive funds to support HIV prevention activities. These laws were passed at a time when very little was known about HIV, including how HIV was transmitted and how best to treat the virus. Many of these state laws criminalize behaviors that cannot transmit HIV, such as biting and or spitting, and apply regardless of actual transmission or intent. After over 30 years of HIV research and significant biomedical advancements to treat and prevent HIV transmission, many state laws are now outdated and do not reflect our current understanding of HIV. In many cases, this same standard is not applied to other treatable diseases. Further, these laws have been shown to increase stigma, exacerbate disparities, and may discourage HIV testing. With that being said, what do you all think about the decriminalization of HIV positive people, given that we're living in a time where treatment is available, and treatment to the extent that people with HIV can actually live with HIV without AIDS complications and can live with HIV without even transmitting it to other persons, because the HIV medication that's available now lower one's viral load to the point that it makes it non-transmittable. Do y'all feel that there should be a refinement around laws, etc., given where we are medically? Or what are y'all thoughts? Starting with Rashonda.
Well, I think that, um, to be honest, um, it seems like, in a sense, HIV is like a still like a hush hush situation. Even though you have educated, people coming out with statistics and different things like that. And I'm gonna say this too, as well. A lot of people are scared because, um, if they have the disease or whatever, they're scared. Um, they're basically saying, well, if you don't have sex, oh, is something wrong with you. If you do have sex, oh, that's an ongoing thing. So it stems. I think it's an in between thing. Like, for instance, um, being that it's a hush hush situation, sort of, kind of. Um, you got some people who are gonna be okay with, being in a situation where they okay with the laws, and then you're gonna have some people that's gonna be like, oh, okay, I'm not for it. You see what I'm saying? So in this situation, we have to, again, get our own education. I think if we have our own education, you know, um, it'll make the laws a little bit better. You see what I'm saying? Because y'all see that the government is not really for us when it comes to stuff like that, when they trying to govern our bodies and different things like that. So it's up to us to be educated, protect ourselves and different things like that. Because, with my situation, people have told me it's something wrong with you if you don't have sex. And that's the ongoing thing. So they feel like there's something they have to do. You see what I'm saying? Um, and really, you don't, like you said, you don't have to do that. And those laws, once, once the laws get put in place, how we gonna, maneuver, with that, when they, decriminalize it. Because you're gonna have some people that's gonna use those laws against, other people. You see what I'm saying? And then you're gonna have some that's gonna use it for us. So we have to have some kind of education with the laws, whatever is put in place for us, our bodies and different things like that. Because if not, far as sexual things go, we're gonna leave it up to the government to govern our bodies. If I'm making sense, you get where I'm coming from?
Mhm.
It's like they want to control our bodies so we can, have no education for ourselves, no health for ourselves, to the point where we so ignorant that we destroy ourselves. If I'm making sense.
Yes.
So you get where I'm coming from.
I get it.
Okay.
Represent T.
Well, I definitely think that any law, speaking specifically to this, but I feel that way across the board when it comes to any law, because we know that the world is ever evolving. And so it does needs to be, and they need to go back to the drawing board. They need to refine the law,
Uh-huh.
update the law, restructure the law. Um, I do
Exactly.
feel, I do feel like it is an unjust law because, as stated in the article, there are other STDs and STIs. You know, we have, like you said, you guys spoke on the crunch and munch, right? And then you have,
Mhm.
is it, I think, hepatitis C. Though, you know, those are just as bad as, you know, the house in Virginia. Um, and so we don't see that there's a law that not that I know of. If there is, please correct me, Chad, or someone on the panel. I don't know of any existing law that criminalizes someone for the crunch and munch if they're spreading. Like, I know you can go civilly and, you know, file claims and things of that nature, but I don't know of a federal law that exists that criminalizes the carriers. So I
Mhm.
do think that it's very I think that there's an agenda that segregates, that is unfair and unjust to those that do have the House of Virginia. I do understand that there are people that are out here that are carriers of many STDs and STIs that are intentionally spreading it to
Mhm.
others. However, although I feel as though that is a crime, I still feel like there is a responsibility on the other people, the person that has contracted it. Um, and I don't want no one, please hear my words very well, very clearly. I don't want to victimize the victim, but there is a certain amount of responsibility that we should hold for ourselves. I'm not even going to say a certain amount. There should be 100% accountability that we should carry for ourselves when it comes to our health. It is the same when
Mhm.
it comes to what we eat, what we drink. We have to take the responsibility to do better by ourselves. That it is no different. It is our body. No one is going to care for our bodies and take care of our bodies the way that and most of the time, we don't even do good by ourselves by
Mhm.
placing the responsibility into someone else's hands. So to stick to your question, I definitely feel like it needs to be. They literally have to go back, and with all that has been developed, they need to go back to the drawing board. But I feel like if you're gonna, when you go back to refine this and change it and correct it, I feel as though they need to add, if you're gonna have House on the Virginia on the board, then put all the others on the board as well. All the others. It should not be, that should not be singled out when we do know that there are others that literally are, because most of them are not a death sentence. We know this, but we do also understand that within our community, although there are preventative things that everyone doesn't have the access to it, as Homebody spoke earlier. But there are some people that just don't, they just choose not to, as Rashonda was saying, whether it's because of fear, ignorance, or whatever the case may be. But we can't be mad, and I want to make this clear. We cannot be mad. We know how our government works. We can't be mad though if we're not doing our part individually, which is
Mhm.
how the government, that's the only way to challenge and correct the system, is to do your part as an individual. So you can't be mad at a system that is trying to govern over you when you're not even governing over yourself. I'm on mute.
Alicia.
Well, I'm really glad that they're looking at these laws. They said with much of the scientific knowledge that they've gained and garnered, they found that many of these STDs cannot be transmitted in certain ways. and so it allows a look back and to bring it more forward. I don't really think it should be a criminal offense. I I'm going to agree with Rumors and Tea. It's self governance. It's being being the head of your body, the head of your health, and being more discerning and using discretion and being more proactive in your health care. And if by some chance something slipped through, managing to take care of it right away. Uh, if we went with the numbers that you discussed and that I had mentioned as well, a lot of people would be incarcerated right now. uh, these numbers are very, very high and they're troubling. And not only incarcerated, would be a lot of young people. And so I think we have enough of a burden in this country. And I would not want to further burden folks as we move forward.
But you know what, Fee? When you speak about the young people, it is as you said, it's very alarming and it's really heartbreaking. And I get very frustrated with parents when they feel like the school shouldn't educate their children when it comes to sex. I get very frustrated because parents, we're not doing our jobs when it comes to educating our children, not just on sex, but life in general. And then we get upset when someone else takes the initiative to do. We feel like there is not their place. So you have a generation, as you were stating in the numbers, that are out here blind and that are living in a way that is extremely dangerous, but they don't feel the fear because they don't know the fear, they don't know what the signs. I mean, as much as we're not going to act like these kids don't know. They've heard of I mean, the house in Virginia, they've heard of STD. So a lot of these kids they can't even name they can name the basic generic, like not generic but general, based upon what they've heard throughout, social media from their peers. But half of them don't know all the STIs and the STDs that are out here. They don't know what they're putting their bodies at risk for. They don't know. And it really starts with the parents. And because parents are so ignorant, we're so ignorant when it comes to educating our children. We feel like it is giving them a pass to get out here and to actively engage in it. But the reality is, we were all young people. We were all children. We were all teenagers, young adults. And you cannot stop. You can try to police it, but you cannot stop the inevitable. So why not prepare them, equip them for a world that has all of these experiences, that is waiting to basically swarm their lives? Why not prepare them for it? I struggle. And I'm just going to be honest. I go, even what does not always feel comfortable for me with my children, I still have a realistic mindset. I struggle with that as a parent because I do know that I don't want them to feel like it is okay to get out here, be promiscuous. And because I take stuff like this very serious. I don't think that, even though I'm very liberated, I don't think it's healthy for us to physically lay with because this, you're changing energies and spirits. So I look at things so totally different, and I'm not okay with my children having the possibility of, especially when they're boys too. Like, let's be for real, we always put it on females, but the boys are the ones that are out here to just, they get a pass and they're into
Mm-hmm.
everything. I don't want that for my sons, but I'm also realistic that I cannot be, my eyes are not going to be there all the time. Hopefully my words are like embedded into their brain so that somewhere in their consciousness my voice pops up, and what I've taught them and instilled in them can actually, like, guide them through certain situations. But my reality is, my job is to educate them, not to send them into a world unprepared, and to the point that now this is, because it's like a virus and it's going to go from person to person. And I don't want my children to be the carriers and passing things on that is a detriment to our community. I just don't.
Absolutely.
And not only that, Romans, it's like with guys, I never understood this. Why is it that with guys, they granddaddies, daddies, Yeah, go out there and knock these women down. But when the woman does it, I'm just asking a question. When a woman does it, she's a hoe and she's this and that, and you know,
It's
it's like,
patriarchy. It's
yeah, it's like,
patriarchy. I don't do me myself personally. I didn't grow up in that type of family, but I grew up in that type of environment, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And for me, it was always a double edged sword. So I think my confidence in not being not falling into the trap of the chauvinism of the male patriarchy um, was unique in that way because I never gave a damn and I always felt equal. But I raised my sons the same way. If I had daughters, I would raise my daughters, and I instill in them the values that I see, like for the world, not the values of my opinions, but actually the world. Because I understand, like to me, it is not cool for a young man to be out here going from woman to woman and thinking it's cute. I'm going through this right now with my oldest son. He thinks it's cute. Today he talking about he got a girlfriend. Tomorrow I ain't with her no more, with somebody else. And I know like they're not even in close physical proximity because I don't even let him out my eyesight. So, but to even that mindset, I'm against it. And I preach down, I lecture him down about it because I understand it always starts with a mindset. And I let him know it's not cool. And any female that is okay, once you do get out of my sight and you get of an age where you can get out into this world, any female that thinks that's cool to be with someone, because they call that experience. Oh, he's experienced. Anyone that thinks that's cool, she ain't for you. And you should run because that lets me know her mindset. And I don't want to demonize the young lady, but I just want them to have healthy relationships and be aware like the red flags. That lets me know that that young lady will be okay with you cheating on her repeatedly. She'll never hold you accountable and she'll feel like it's the other female's fault. She's the problem. When in reality, you're the problem. And just because a person allows you to do something doesn't make it right.
Mhm. I just
If
And of
want
course,
a
you're going to get
if
good.
pushback.
I want
Huh?
if
a
I
good.
could make any suggestions to you, Ruma, I have a couple of sons, and I've always had books in my home, books that may be particular to raising Black boys or anything about Black men or whatever their interest was. But I always had open discussions with them about sexuality and sex and relationships. And my their father and I always had boundaries. So there would be a question, let's say, well, if you decide that you love someone and you're going to engage in activity, understand that from that activity can come a life, and that life is our grandchild. And we can only uh, feed and support X amount of people. So you're going to have to get on out of here, or you're going to have to go get a job, or you're going to have to build a life with this woman. So you need to keep those things in mind. And it wasn't a threat. It was just a fact. It wasn't, being overly punishing. I always had materials out and in the open and always open for discussion. If and when they and I have a daughter as well, and when they would bring someone over, we would talk, and I would ask, what is the level of your relationship? What are your expectations? What are your ambitions? I needed to know because I raised my children with the values and the self-worth and the love that I know that they are and who they are. And I wanted them to know that I need others to see you as that way too. And so if
I'm such a Felicia, I'm such an open-minded, liberal parent. I still have, I have a whole thank God I have a balance. And thank God I have people like conscious in my life that if I need, like, and I'm just going to try to keep it real, I can like bounce things off of certain individuals and get like, um, step out of mommy mode and be open. And I always like, I don't really, my oldest is 15. I don't think that he's ready. He's still a child in my eyes. In my heart, he's still a child. But I remember when I was 15. So I use that as a point of reference. But I don't like when he comes to me about girls, right, which is very rare, but when he does come to me about girls, I'm very open. Um and I meet the young ladies on everything is over the phone, right? I meet the young ladies and I want to meet their parents. I want to have conversation, and I'm very open with these young ladies as well. I don't pussyfoot around, but it's important for me to meet their parents because I feel like parents are lazy when it comes to their children, in an unrealistic manner, and I will bounce things off of the parents because it is not my child, so I don't want to overstep in that way. But when if you're going to even try to befriend my son, I feel like there's a level of information that needs to be established, ground rules and things of that nature. Just even having a conversation, and I'm realistic with these children, so I've always been clear. It is not they've already gotten a warning about possibly becoming a parent, et cetera, et cetera. But there are other things that are fact just as great and more and just as important as birthing a child, creating a child, and STDs. There's also like laws when it comes to minors that I don't think we express enough to our children. Like, just because she's consenting, she's still a minor, you're still a minor. There are laws that say that you cannot do that. So I always come from a place of realistic. That's why I say things of the world. Like, and I know a lot of parents don't do that. They think if we say no, that's it. And unfortunately, they forget they were once children, teenagers. Your parents said no to you. That ain't stop you. You found the way around that no to do what you wanted. And usually it came with a bad consequence. And that's just the reality. My thing is, even with it, when it comes to adults, to stay on topic, when it comes to adults are nothing but children that were not properly taught, that went into this world
Exactly.
and continued the chaos, help continue contributing to the chaos.
Indeed.
And, and it's like those adults. Um, it's crazy how adults not only are they bullying their children. The saying, "Do as I say, not as I do." It's like, you want to be the example. You want your children to follow your footsteps, but then you're not even doing. I'm talking about sex wise. You're not even giving them the tools to even to go out in the world to if something were to happen. Because in these days, and then when something happened to their child, oh my baby, but then was you really there for your children? Was you giving them the tools to if something were to occur, because it's different now. And then you see they pimping the kids, doing all kind of stuff, waiting by the bus stop. Don't you know parents leave their children at the bus stop? They don't even stay out there with their children. They will literally send their children out there for the wolves to eat them. What I'm saying is, parents, y'all got to at least stay at the bus stops. When they go places, look out for your children, because, like I said, ain't no need of crying if something happens to them, because you kind of cause the chaos for all of that to occur.
And I want to say this because I don't want it to be an attack on the parents in that way. This is
Yeah.
constructive criticism, and I'm still learning as I'm going. I don't got all the answers, but I also want us to be aware that what we don't verbally teach them, we're teaching them through our actions as well. And I feel like a
Mhm.
lot of parents don't even know where to begin because it shows in our actions and our relationships, and how we engage, and lack of proper healthy engagement. So that's why I was saying initially that we need to be educated. Like, it is not, to me, it's very unwise for us not to learn and study, learn, observe, and study other countries and their practices, because we don't have all the answers. We do live in a society that the answers they provide for us are not necessarily in our best interest as human beings, as basic
Mhm.
human beings. And if you don't study and learn, go beyond the United States, go beyond the western part of this globe, if you don't do these things, you're going to forever continue in the toxicity that has been embedded in us. It is a lot of, when I tell you guys, a world worth of knowledge that if we open ourselves up, stop demonizing the practices of others, open ourselves, our minds up. And even if you choose not to practice it, but just open your mind up and see and learn, a lot of this that we're going through, we would not go through. I promise you. Like, I mean, I'm not making it like seem like every other country has it together. They got their own issue, but I'm speaking like the basic humanity of human beings. If we really was to open our minds and learn these things, a lot of this would not be. It really wouldn't. I see other
And
countries that literally they still court. Sex is not even a thing. Like you understand, like the physical aspect of it. It's not
And
even a thing.
pregnancy is not even a thing in a lot of countries. Like they're
Right.
0% rate of teen pregnancies, a heightened rate of marriage. Yeah, it's a thing that can become a reality, and that goes back to that thing that how it's all interconnected, because as a result of the circumstances we are in as Black and brown people in this community, because we haven't learned to properly regulate, we have just pursued pleasure, aka pursued them dopamine and serotonin hits to compensate for the things that we're dealing with in our lives, on our jobs, and our families, our traumas, etc. And then as a result of sex being birthed basically out of the context of stress and the pursuit of pleasure to mitigate that stress, children are coming about. And that's why you have a lot of children who are being parented by people who don't love them, because the birth of those kids, the creation of those kids, wasn't even necessarily intentional. They were just a byproduct of sex between mommy and daddy, whether mommy and daddy were sneaky links, whether mommy and daddy were in a relationship, whether whatever the case may be. Like, and so this, like, getting to the bottom line of it really comes down to healing. The Black and brown community has to heal. We have to heal, because that lack of healing is playing out in everything. It's playing out in our sexual health. It's playing out in the rampant spread of STIs, STDs. It's playing out in our parenting style. It's playing out in it's playing out in every way, shape, or form. It's playing out. It's bleeding all out. And so while we are in a fucked up situation, we have also an opportunity to really bear witness to those autopsy results, which is why this is a really incredible time to be alive, because we have really dawned upon so many receipts about our condition, which is being reflected in all of the data. That data now can be used as a way for us to pull an old nasty reverse Uno. It's just going to take the same amount of effort that got us into these problems that it's going to take to get us into the solutions necessary to resolve those problems. We got problems. We got to solve those problems, whether there's a white man in the sky who's coming back for us or not, whether we have ancestors who are coming back for us or not, whether there's a government that owes us something or not. We have real-time, right now issues that we can't afford to take or to put in anybody else's hands. There's got to be some concerted effort right now. As Jesus would say, the kingdom is at hand right now, not later, not tomorrow. We in a right now situation. We on a right now Titanic. We in a right now collision course. Head-on collision course. We in a right now predicament. There's got to be some very, very hardcore braking and popping the gas and some revolutionary twists and turns that we're going to have to manually bring about in order to save what's left of our community, or else there isn't going to be anything left but a bunch of diseased people and unloved kids and femicide and anti-blackness and violence of all kind that are all going to be coming from the inside. We won't even need external enemies anymore. The enemies will completely exist in-house entirely. And if we don't and if we don't want to continue to be a community that eats its own, baby, we're gonna have to be reborn again and resurrect into a new mind. And it's gonna have to start in the mind, because all of our issues are coming from the stuff that's happening to the mind. Your mind is informing your emotions. Your emotions are informing your choices. And your choices are creating the objective reality.
Right. Well, Conscious, I enjoyed this. I'm sorry, I was just about to get up. I was saying I enjoyed this.
Yes.
As usual. I feel like we're already at the beginning of an apocalypse. I don't know how long, but I do feel like we are.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've always seen in movies when it comes to the apocalypse, the truth in that, the truth has always been revealed. It's like the truth is out and people just cannot handle it. And I just want to encourage everybody, as I stated, just educate yourselves. Please do that. And the more we know and accept, the better we will become. Because I know that it will motivate you to do better in your life. I enjoyed you, ladies. I'm about to drop down and go back into the chat.
Thank you so much, Romas. Thank you, Boo. Okay. I got to get up out of her too. I think I'm going to come out with some Diddy content in the next 30 minutes.
Oh goodness, not again.
Speaking of community problems, right?
That's why I said not again.
Right.
It was a pleasure, Rashonda. Thank you, Conscious.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. I love you too, Rashonda. I can't do this without you guys. You guys are the contribution to the platform. So, we're going to continue to have these conversations, of course. I keep telling y'all, Conscious Crew, we do it all here. We get into the celebrity stuff. We get into, the right here in the thick of the heart of what's going on amongst the people. We get into all the issues, honey. We get into the political conversation. We get into the socio-economic conversation. We get into the psychology and spirituality conversation. We get into the gossip conversation. We get into it all, child. This is a multi-purpose, all-purpose platform. And I really feel like when we have these type of discussions, I really want you guys to do, sharing, because, this is not stuff we can change alone, and we need to get these conversations out there. We need to encourage this type of content from blogs, from commentators, from our public figures, because it's going to take some real passion in order to rectify these issues. Is going to take some real controlling of the narrative and introducing the solutions and the reality of things. So, we need to continue to control the media and not just use it for the sake of entertainment, but also use it for the sake of evolution and evolving our community. So you guys, please thumbs up. Thank you so much, JB. Thank you so much, Auntie Trisha. Thank you guys for being here. You guys share, thumbs up on your way out. Please subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you guys in a few. Tell me what you all think. Unpack your thoughts in the comment section, and I will see you guys later. Peace.